and welcome to the Stuck on Self-Love podcast. My name is Tazeen Sheikh, and I'm a writer, self-love, and mental health advocate, and STUK Design's blog manager. Along with 5 other young women from around the world, I run a successful nonprofit for girls and a clothing brand. At STUK Designs, we believe in self-love first, because self-love is the dawn that marks the beginning of all the different kinds of loves, and because it undoubtedly sustains success. This podcast shines light on strong and talented women who persevere and excel in life while bathing in abundant self-love. So if you're ready to keep it real, level up in all your inner work, creative business, and community impact, then you've come to the right place, because we provide you with content that helps your soul glow, your mind grow, and keeps you lit. Thank you for pressing play. Let's dive in. Hello, STUK community. We at STUK Designs aim to provide girls in underserved communities access to art education, as well as help them recognize and utilize the power of self-love. You can be a part of our cause and make an impact by donating to our 2 programs, Little Artists and Fly Girl Initiative. You can also choose to become a monthly donor. Visit our website, www.stukdesigns.org, for more information. Hello, STUK community, and welcome back to another episode of the Stuck on Self-Love podcast. I'm your host, Tazeen, and today we have a very lovely guest with us, Denise. Welcome, Denise.
Hi, STUK community.
Great to have you. So please start off by introducing yourself to our audience.
So my name is Denise Rosa. I am a vocal coach and teacher in Connecticut, in the USA. I teach virtually. I have an online course. I teach in person now. It was kind of a dream from not that long ago, because the original dream changed. There was a lot of, not just recent changes. There have been changes throughout life and just adjustments. Really great things have come from it. But that's what I do now. I'm an encourager,
Lovely. Yeah. So now, Denise, your story is extremely inspiring. It is a story of resilience. It is a story of courage. And it is only right that you come on here and speak your story for all the people that are listening. I'm sure the audience will draw so much inspiration from it. So talk to us about your life.
I was studying voice with these brilliant women at Yale University when I was like 9 and 10, and I was doing stuff then. And then as I got older, I went to college. I did musical theater, and it was in my 3rd year at college that I was in a pretty intense car accident where I was the passenger in the vehicle, and we were getting on a highway. It was one of the fast, busy highways, and a vehicle came out of nowhere and T-boned our car and actually hit my door on the highway. So we're going, 75 miles per hour, and just hit us really hard. And I remember now thinking back, I'd hit my head in that accident so hard that it was like I forgot who I was or where I was. And I did it. My friend who was with me, she was like, you need to call 911. And I called, I dialed because I knew that was what I needed to do. But when they asked me where I was, I drew a complete blank. I had no idea where I was. They asked me what my name was, and I drew another blank. And I was like, I'm so lost. I'm in like shock, like from head to toe. And the firemen came and they took me out. The EMTs came and they took me out of the car. They brought me into the truck, and they realized that I needed to go to the hospital because my spine was in pain. I had, from that first accident, I had 4 herniated discs that we had no idea about. And they put me on, a ton of medication. I ended up not being able to dance. I had to stop entirely. And so I went home for recovery, and it wasn't till I got home for recovery that the second car accident happened, where I was rear-ended by a young driver. And that time it ruptured my discs. So I have a fully ruptured lower disc. And we knew in that moment that I was not going to dance ever again. Like, it just was not going to happen. And it was devastating. Like even thinking about it now, like I've come so far, but recognizing that it altered my life in this way, like makes me cry a little bit because you feel like that loss. You feel that bit of, you've done this your whole life. You loved this. And suddenly it's just not part of your life anymore. And it's someone, you feel like someone stole that from you. Like, I remember she was just like a teenager, like she was just a young kid, and she came to my door, and I just remember sitting in the front seat, realizing that I couldn't feel my left leg, like as I was sitting there. I mean, it was so instant, and the pain was just outrageous. I went in for an MRI, and they saw where it had just ruptured, and all of the gel from inside the disc was actually pressing on my spinal cord. So the pain was very real. The loss of feeling in my legs was very real. I was still in my 20s. So my doctors, after, I mean, extensive just work, I had gotten like cortisone shots. I had gotten, you know, gone through all sorts of therapies, and they said, well, if we go in and because you're young, like if we go in and we do the surgery, yeah, you'll walk and it'll be, well, it was a 50-50 chance that I might not walk. And there was a greater chance that in my later years, I would be in even more pain, just because the way that the surgeries were working at the time, you really didn't get, they would put a rod in, and just the outcome was, there was no outcome where dancing was a possibility. The only outcome was I could walk well without pain, or I could potentially not walk at all, or not feel that leg, or like my left side for the rest of my life. And it was, oh man, I was just married. It was like super devastating. Like it was really hard to deal with that. And I had gone into like teaching in the school systems, and I realized it really wasn't for me. I wasn't doing music. I wasn't doing anything with my voice, and it was hard. But you know, like it was just, there was something about it at that time where I needed to do something with music. And I had spoken to my husband. I was like, even if I'm just teaching voice, I can do that. You know, I had been in voice classes since I was very young. And I understand the mechanics of the voice, having gone, you know, in for music in college, and I could share that and like information and that knowledge. And so that was what I wanted to do. I was like, well, let me bring music back into my life, because I know that it has like this really wonderful healing factor. You know, like there's something about music that's so spiritual, and it's so intense, and it's so life-changing. And I just wanted to do that. I wanted to start that. So I started it on the side. I had like a few students here and there, like, and you know, I think it wasn't, oh man, it didn't take long for me to realize what it meant to be the person sharing this information. I'll never forget one of my students. He's with me to this day. It has been years. This young man, he is now a young man. He was like a young child. He came in very shy, and just so, he was incredibly adorable. Like he was just he's still incredibly adorable, you know. But he came in and he was very shy, very quiet. And he started, you know, whisper singing, and we got him to sing out loud.
Wow.
And oh my God, it just filled my heart. And I was like, this is what I need to do for the rest of my life. Like,
right. Help people find their voice.
Like, this is how I've got to do it. And then, and it just led to finding more people who had the same situation. I've worked with people on the spectrum who went from never performing to performing in front of their family members and friends altogether. I have worked with all age groups from 7 to like mid 50s, and just giving them opportunities to step out and do something more, because what I learned from my experience was that you could go through hell. Like, of course, you could legitimately go through hell. And if you come to that point where you need to do something more, you can. you just have to adjust. Adjusting is okay. You have to like maybe pivot or maybe change something, and you can find purpose in that change, and you can step into it and really become almost like a new creature, like just like a new person, and be fulfilled and love what you do and grow what you do and see others change. And that's what I want for every single person who walks through my door or speaks with me or takes lessons online. Like, I want to see that growth from within, because I know it's a stepping out, it's a change for a lot of them. And something about music just does it, it just changes everything.
Right.
Was that what you were asking? Did I answer that?
Yes, of course. Perfectly. That is exactly what we wanted to know. I mean, Denise, the way you've handled your circumstances, it's truly remarkable. You played the cards that you were handed, and here you are winning at life. And, with, a situation such as yours, like you said, there were so many challenging times. Of course, that is 100% a part of it. So take us more into the details of those times where you were truly struggling, of course, physically, but also mentally, because, a lot of the times we're so focused on the success part of such, instances and stories that we don't talk enough about the work that it took to get there, the fails, the struggles. So tell us about that.
So when it comes to those struggles, I have to be honest and say, I still sometimes struggle. Like, there are still moments to this day where like, I watch a show and like I'm crying because I'm seeing this beautiful artistry that I know that I love deeply, and I know I can't participate. So the emotion wells up, and I like, even now, like I think about it and like, oh gosh, I have such a passion for it. But with that, I think what I always do is like, I think, you know what? I know that what I do is so fulfilling. Like, I know that I changed and I adjusted and this is fulfilling. And in the future, my plan is to find a way to incorporate that with what I do as well. So if it means bringing dance into my studio, like that's what I'm going to do, because I know I love it. I might not be the one dancing, but I will certainly watch people do it and love that. The other, like, if we want to talk about like what I went through, was I did go through a very dark period, like right afterwards. And thank God for my husband, honestly, because your partner goes through it with you. Like, whatever you go through, if your partner's there, I mean, they're going through it too. And he has always been super supportive. He let me have like my breakdowns. He let me kind of cry. He let me, have my angry moments. He's always taken me to all of the Broadway shows. He's always taken me to like each of the like local theater shows, whatever we could do. Even though he wasn't really a theater person before having married me, he's always been very supportive and always there. And we found solace in kind of going and still experiencing it. I think that not letting go really made a huge difference for me, because it motivated me to become a part of that world in a different way as best as I could. That dark period was hard for both of us, because I didn't want to stay there. I knew that. But I knew I had to experience the emotions, because this was what it was. There's no questions, there's no like, you don't kind of get around it. It just is what it is. But our focus was, okay, make sure that you always walk. Like, that's just make sure that I can walk. And if we get that far, great. And like, that's okay. And then like every success, every time I was able to move more, do better, or strengthen myself, it's a success. We celebrate. It had gotten to the point where I was able to move more. I did try doing a local theater show. We did Seussical the musical, and I was able to participate, which was fantastic. But my body was not. I could tell it wasn't the same. I couldn't do half of the things that I would have done in the past. And That was the moment that I was like, okay, it really is over. Like, I can't do it. Just going through that and coming out the other end and saying, how do I keep this in my life, but do what I love? I'm a focused person. I'm a goal getter. Like, I needed that goal. I needed that, like, that one thing that nobody could take away. And it really was sharing what I can do, what I can teach still. It was hard. It's hard to call it anything else, you know, like
Definitely.
it's difficult to describe it well, I think, because everyone handles those moments differently, and you can choose to live in it and dwell on it. And I couldn't make myself keep doing that. I couldn't allow myself to live in that dark period that long. I don't think that there's anything wrong if you have to take your time with it, because I believe that everyone has their pace.
Of course.
Mine was mine probably lasted like a year and a half.
Wow.
Yeah, I was rough for about a year and a half. And like I said, my husband's super supportive. You know, how are you feeling? Do you feel better today? No? Okay. Do you want chocolate?
Of course. The best solution.
You want, like, how about a movie? What can we do? And he, oh my God, he carried me upstairs when I needed the help. He, like, he was such a trooper. But he always ensured that I was, I laugh a little bit because he's the one who's like, turmeric helps reduce swelling. Do you want some turmeric tea? Like,
great.
Super cute. He definitely did everything in his human power to just ensure, like, hey, what can we do? How can we do this? And I do think that if it wasn't for him, I probably would have spent more time kind of in like the depression, for lack of a better word. That's exactly what it was.
Exactly.
More time in that for sure. But he is having someone alongside you who's like that is super helpful. A community, really, of people who are willing to uplift you when you feel really down. After the year and a half, that's probably when I found my, I guess, tribe of students who I'll tell you, that day when he started singing out loud and I saw him light up and go from shy young man to like singing on stages. I would go to see the shows he was in, and he was just like singing out loud, and like having several other students who dealt with anxiety who were also singing out loud, performing in my recitals. Like, seeing those moments didn't just break me out, it kept me out.
Right.
Seeing their successes almost like keeps me afloat. It keeps me thinking about the positive things and moving on towards what we could potentially do in the future as we continue to move forward. It's hard. I will never take that away from someone because I know what it is.
Right.
I don't know, there's a huge sense of loss.
Of course.
And I think when this happened, the mental health world wasn't as popular.
Right.
You know what I mean?
There was still a lot of taboo around it. Yeah.
So I would do therapy on, on some days, but it's hard to find a good therapist. It's hard to find somebody who aligns with you. But when you find that one person, like, stick with them. Like, I had a hard time finding them. I was lucky enough to have a friend who was who went to college with me, and unfortunately, he lived very far away. But I would call his company or call him like, I think it was like a couple thousand miles at the time that they were living far away. They're further now. So he would talk with me over the phone and kind of help me through as well. But it was hard to find someone that I trusted, that I could talk through. Mentally, it was different. Mentally, it was honestly my husband who like knew that I had something more in me, trusted me to move forward, trusted me to make good decisions. And we have seen the fruit of that now. Over time, it's been about 8 years of me teaching.
Wow. Incredible. You've been on an incredible journey.
8 years of teaching. I survived the pandemic and a total lockdown.
Yes.
Like,
of course.
I am thrilled. Like, I think with the years now, it's at the point where it's like, I'm just thrilled to still be here and still be doing all the things that I'm doing. We had a recital recently, and we had people who had never performed before in their life, younger, in their 50s and up, like,
wow,
all people working together to perform. And it was like, this is why I do what I do. This is why, like,
this is your calling. Yeah.
Like, this is why I love them. Seeing people just have a good time together, like, I love it. I love it. Did that answer your question? I'm sorry. I feel like I'm not answering. I just want to make sure I'm giving you what
No, definitely. You are. It is beautiful. I mean, you've transformed your situation entirely. You found why you're here on this planet, why you're, existing. You found your reason. You found a new sense of identity, like you said, and that is incredible. It is definitely not the easiest of things. It can break the strongest of people, but here you are, and it is amazing. Your resilience is really, really admirable. Truly. Thank you, Denise, for doing all that you do. Honestly, you're changing lives, Denise. You are.
I do feel like community is a huge deal. Like, I can never take the credit for myself. Like, I will always give the credit to the people who have been around me, whether it's my family. My family was very supportive too. Like, I remember, we had this really rough day. It was this one time, we had moved, and we paid movers, obviously, to like take our studio from one place to the new place. And they broke my piano.
Oh,
whoa. And there was no way of like proving that they had done it or anything, like, but it like stopped playing. And I was like, it broke. It was fine the day before. It was not fine the day after. And I just remember thinking, I have to go get a new piano. And they're, I was like, this is not what I want. And I, like, my dad had called me at the same time where I was like, my piano just stopped working. Like, he just happened to call in that moment. And I'm working on it. And he was like, well, I will, they're electronic, they're keyboards. So like, I will take it apart and figure it out and put it back together, because that's how I am. My brain will like do that. And I tried that, and I was like, it's still not working, my dad showed up a few hours later with a new, like, smaller keyboard, and he was like, use this to go get the other one. I was like, thanks.
That is so sweet.
Like, so sweet. Just things like that. Like, having people around you who, like, when you call and say, oh, this is bad, like, and they show up for you, like, it really does change. Like, be vulnerable, like, be honest, be vulnerable, be open. I think there's a lot of stigma around being vulnerable. Like, if you are vulnerable, then you're weak. But that's not true. Like, everyone has an issue, like, something goes on. There's always a time where, like, you have highs, and there's always something bad happens. And it doesn't have to be drastic. It doesn't have to be, losing your identity all of a sudden. It doesn't have to be that. It could be as small as, like, maybe this isn't small, but like, if you lost your phone, it could be as small as that. And like, that can be rough for a lot of people. And like, all you need is somebody to like help you look for it.
Right.
Like that little act of kindness can mean everything to somebody. And if, let's say you find it, like you've just corrected something for someone that was so tiny, like it's not hard to go look for something. It's just a little bit of your time. That shows so much care and so much like humanity. And I think that when, I don't know about where you live, but here in the Northeast, we tend to be like, you know, blinders on, walk fast, don't really smile, and don't hold the door open, don't do those things.
Right.
It is the season for the holidays, so everyone's kind of, you know, being a little bit nicer, holding more doors. That happens. But what I'm saying is, like, if you're vulnerable to a group of people who you can trust, they will always be there for you. And when you have those moments of difficulty, there's always someone who can give you a good word, who can, I know like my friends will pray with one another, you know, like we'll just spend the time in prayer and meditation together and say, okay, I know this was tough, but meditation is huge because it takes you out of your element. It centers you, it allows you to like say, okay, these things are happening, but I can control this, and I can control this, and I can control this. And so I'll do these things, and then we'll move on to the next step slowly when we're ready to, and not so anxious and not so stressed out and not so, you know, like taking the time to care for yourself is huge. And prayer and meditation can do that. It can give you the time to refocus and organize and like find your way through it. Aside from like my family, I have a group of friends who, when I'm having a rough day, I just call them and say, okay, I feel like I suck. Like, you know, like
straight to the point. Yes.
Today is one of those really sucky days, and I don't know what to do with myself. And they'll either show up or just say over the phone, you know, hey, well, for one, you don't suck. Like, you know,
first of all,
first of all, that's a lie. And second, like, I have time in this, like, you know, I have time at lunch. I have time tomorrow. I have time in the next 3 days. Let's sit and talk about it. And they do that, and we do that. And that's the kind of community that when it comes to mental health, like, it's so necessary. It helps pull you. It helps push you when they hold you accountable for the actions that you claim you are going to do. When they say, hey, did you call so-and-so? Did you, you know, make, I don't know, whatever it is. Like, it really depends on the person, but like, did you make that goal? How did it go?
right.
Even those little questions that are carrying are going to change the way that you act as a person, like in your element, because you know somebody's paying attention. And you know that they care enough to say it in love and say, hey, why didn't you do it? Or what can we do to help you? How can we love you more? Like, that's what they do. And I'm super blessed to have them. I'm super thankful for each and every one of them. And I can call them wherever they are, whether it's across the country or around the world at this point. Like, I know that you know, if I'm having a struggle, there's a community out there. And I love that there's a community growing in the mental health and the self-care world where it's like, I know I can say these things and somebody out there is going to identify with it. And somebody out there is going to hear it and say they can do exactly what I did and make a change and adjust and grow from it and become more of the person they didn't know they wanted to become. And that's huge. Like, that's everything.
Right. I mean, what you've spoken about here is truly so, so important, you know, the power of a community. And I'm so grateful that you had such people in your life, your husband, your family, your friends. Truly, it is one of the most important things. And, you know, at the end of the day, we're all humans and, you know, no one can do this alone. Life is hard for everybody, you know, and what you've said is really important. I hope that that really inspires everybody to show up for one another and, you know, to be vulnerable, to be kind. Now, Denise, let's talk about your business, right? Your organization, your company is called Your Pure Voice. Okay, so tell
Yeah.
us more about that, your teaching model, how you go about all of that. So, I think it would be great because if there are people that are interested, they can, reach out to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So my teaching model, and because I worked with kindergartners for a long time, I actually understand that every student is a little bit different. Everyone learns slightly differently. So I have an online course that anyone can subscribe to. But what you get with the online course is how to practice, how to learn how to sing, how to, how you're supposed to spend your time practicing. And you have access to me or any of my other vocal teachers, who right now I have two others, who if I can't be there for any reason, they can always jump in. But they will identify any situations with you and show you how to use the tracks and the online courses to practice and correct the issue. So it gives them the opportunity to work from home. It's a much more economical price range for everyone, and you just take the time with one-on-one when you need it. So the reason why I say it like that is because my model is really about goals. I've always been goal oriented, so I want everyone else to understand that we want to reach a goal. If you're looking to sing, you want to reach the goal of just being confident. Okay, this is what you have to do to get to feeling confident. We'll discuss it with you. I will one-on-one sit down with 15 minutes with you to show you how to use the website, what you want to do, depending on your goals, and just kind of sort that out with everyone very personably, because that's how I feel. That's how I feel like I'm building this community, and that's how I want it to work. And I'm training my others to do exactly that, build this community of how do we teach, how do we learn, how you can learn on your own. When I have a student who's one-on-one and in person or online, we discuss exactly what they're looking to do, and we work towards that goal. We find where any of the situations are. Sometimes people just need to learn how to be more agile vocally. So we work on those kinds of tracks where they're more agility based, like riffing and things like that. So we can train them one-on-one. So I guess when you ask what my model is, it's really about you. And that's where the name Your Pure Voice comes from, is because it's not about everyone has to sing these notes or this way, or it's not a box. It's about conforming to your abilities and helping you grow into more of who you want to be. Because I think that with what I've had happen in my life, I had myself in a box. I never would have been a vocal teacher if I stayed on that path. It never would have occurred to me.
Right.
And I had that box, and then that box kind of broke open. There was no choice, right? And I took what was in there and I reformed it, and I said, okay, well, let's do it this way, so we can still use all of the things that are in me, and I can still be a part of this world because I love it so much. We can adjust and we can recreate. So that's where, so lately I've actually not called it just Your Pure Voice anymore. We're saying YPV, because we've expanded as well into having other instruments playing, instrument lessons as well. So we have students who are taking piano lessons. We have students who are taking guitar lessons. We have upright bass lessons happening, and they're all virtual. Those are virtual, but those allow everyone who maybe don't want to sing, but they want to learn an instrument, same principle. You find the goal, we find you where you're at, and we teach you how to learn from there. Right. Which is why I work with so many different kinds of people in all ages. I know that sounds really bizarre. Who works with all ages? We do.
It's a large spectrum, but you're covering it. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going for it, because I don't believe that you should stop learning at any point in life. I always felt that learning was a continual thing. Never knew I'd be teaching. Definitely not. But now that I'm teaching, I'm still learning. I'm always trying to find new ways to teach, new ways to help grow everyone and get them to where they want to be. I've always been an information like sponge. Like that's all I love. So I want to share that as well. I guess that's my model. My model is, where are you? How do we make you what you want to be? How can we grow? And let's be realistic, obviously, because not everyone's going to be, Celine Dion or Mariah Carey, but you're going to be you at your very best, doing what you love or enjoy and having a good time doing it. And that's why I do it.
Wow, that is amazing. That is brilliant. I mean, a good, teacher has to be a good student first. And I think that is everything that you are, and you're implementing everything that you learned in your life, not just like vocally, but also everything, that has happened with you. You're kind of taking that and, juxtaposing it against your like principles of teaching. And that is, incredibly beautiful. It is wonderful. We will be linking Denise's website and information in the description of this podcast, as well as for the video that we will upload to our YouTube channel. Now, lastly, Denise, so as you might already know, we at STUK Designs, we're all about preaching self-love and practicing it in our day-to-day lives. So tell us about your self-love journey, what it means to you, what it looks like to you.
So, my self-love journey, this might be just as long as my every other journey. Because self-love, oh man, especially as having been somebody who auditioned regularly, self-love was very hard. Self-love was almost unheard of. Right. Because every new job or every new audition was, you can't be Denise anymore. You have to be this person for this role. And you have to be that person for that role. So there's a lot of like, okay, well, I can't be me. I can't be me. And like, that was, I didn't realize it was hard when it was happening. I would be in like 3 to 5 roles at once at one point. And coming back to myself meant really shutting down and just like getting everybody out of my like space for 3 months sometimes. Right. Because I needed to refine myself. And so after the car accidents, that was when self-love became necessary. It wasn't before that. I didn't understand self-love then, or self-care. Self-love came with, you have to work out, you have to stretch, you have to be able to walk, you have to be able to do these things. You have to, it came from a place of like need and not just want. Self-love came with discovering that I had purpose in seeing others succeed and loving it. Right. Self-love came with taking care of my body and making sure that I was, going and taking care of, being at each of my appointments. Self-love became very real when I had my very first recital, like my very first concert. Seeing each of them do their thing was like so fulfilling, like so rewarding, so fulfilling. And I remember leaving that, and my husband and my friends and everybody who was there for me were saying, that was awesome. Do you realize that you did that? I would say, no. You
did that. You made it happen.
They're like, you did. No one really helped you do that, Denise. You did that. And I was like, no, I don't understand. like, look at these great things. And oh man, it just, it altered how I looked at it. It altered how I looked at everything. And so, I think that self-love came first, accepting that I could do something of value. Right. Because for the most part, at that point, after years of pain and really not being very helpful in any way, because I couldn't lift, like I had a disability index, they wouldn't allow me to, I could hardly carry like groceries up the stairs, like that was, so you feel very useless. Like you feel this sense of like, what am I even doing? Like, I'm just, bleh,
Right.
and then seeing that, that compared to this successful, small, never, ever look down on small beginnings. Like, let me say that. Just because it was small doesn't mean it wasn't valuable. Seeing somebody change just because it was one person doesn't take away the value. It doesn't take away your value in being the person who helped them change. It doesn't take away the value in how that affected the other person's life. And it surely doesn't take away the value in how it affects your life seeing someone else change, even when it is small, even when it's one person, it doesn't matter. And that's something that I preach, I think, to every, I don't care how small the beginning is, because it mattered to someone, and that has great value. Self-love became even more important after that when I got busy, when I had more students than I thought I could handle. It was very time consuming, but so worth it. I loved every moment of it. And then it wasn't until October of 2019 that I finally quit my full-time job. What a time to quit my full-time job. October, oh my gosh, I thought there was a point in 2020 where I was like, I made the wrong choice. Like, this is bad. Like,
the world was crazy then.
Oh, it just exploded. Like, everything had gone horribly wrong. Oh goodness. I just remember my husband had built my soundproof studio that we're in right now. Like, this is the studio. He actually like set it up for me. And I was like, we're so excited. We were thrilled to have all these wonderful changes. And I quit my full-time job, and then everything shut down. The world just came to a full halt. I had to immediately, because before that I was not doing virtual lessons, but I had to very quickly adjust, and suddenly everything was virtual. Like, everything was online, everything was from far away. I kept several of my students. I went from full-time student time to like maybe 5 hours of students a week. We're talking about going from about 40 hours of students to just 5.
Oh my God.
And my husband at the time, in April, everything had shut down, and he was not an essential worker. I was obviously not, I was nothing at that point. Like, we were, like, it was just us. And somehow, and I'm going to be honest, I haven't the slightest clue how it worked. My students stuck with me. And that'll make me cry. Give me a second.
It's okay.
Stuck with me. And as soon as the world started to open up, everybody got vaccinated, everything started working again. They started to come back out of the woodwork, either not the same ones, but like new people wanted lessons, more people, and it started to come back. And I was like, I thought I had lost literally everything. I thought it was done for. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I told my husband's name is Ryan. I told Ryan, I was like, I don't know what I can do for a job anyway. I can't stand for long periods of time. I can't, like, be sitting for a long period of time. My schedule is set up so that I can, walk in between students and like get some exercise in. And like, not every employer these days is accepting of such.
Right. They won't accommodate such needs. Right.
And so, like, going back, I was very nervous about going back. But as soon as the world opened back up, they started coming back. Just knowing that they were on my side and they had faith in me was enough, that they were praying for me on their end, and that they were like, they're sending me all of the good vibes. Like, that was everything. And now we're all very excited that it's coming back. I had another recital this year. It was fantastic. We want to incorporate recording for the year coming, so everyone's going to start putting their own music together as well. Can't wait for that. I want to expand. One of my plans is to actually build out a mobile studio. Because my goal is to be able to take that studio and do like groups lessons, or like group conferences where we can discuss how to be more confident in your voice moving forward, and just like take that to the different places as I keep on moving through. Because I have groups who have wanted me to work with them in Canada and in New York and in Massachusetts, and like, I can't bring my studio here with me, but if I had a mobile studio, I could take it and I could really work with them for a couple weeks and keep all my virtual students, because they were all virtual still. Some are in person, but we can all do virtual lessons, and we could still continue to give exactly what I'm doing and still give more to, groups that just don't have that opportunity. And I want to continue to do that. That's where we're headed,
Wow. You have brilliant ideas.
Self-love. Self-love is just accepting the change and enjoying the alterations.
Making the best of it is what you've done, and you're incredible at doing that. Truly.
Very sweet.
No, really, because I think that today's episode is going to be really moving for a lot of people, because so many people in the world are struggling. And, especially with COVID, the thing that you went through, there's so many people, small businesses, and, even down to small vendors and everything. It's been hard. It's been rough. And I really hope that your story, your journey, your words bring inspiration to all those people. Denise, thank you so, so much for coming on here and, sharing your story with us all. It is definitely a story worth telling and a story worth listening to. So thank you. And I'm so grateful that you came on here, and welcome to the STUK community as well. And we love you here.
I love it. That's so great. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And to the audience, thank you so much for tuning in to our episode today. And we will see you in the next one. Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. You can visit our website, www.stukdesigns.org, to shop our merch, make donations, join our blogging team, or be a part of our affiliate program. See you in our next episode. Love and light from us to you.